Because one of the things we're going to start off with is some information. Okay. In compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act, PL 1975, Chapter 231, the notice requirements have been satisfied. Meeting dates for the year are confirmed at the annual meeting, are posted on the public bulletin board in the lobby of the Municipal Center, and published in the record within the first 10 days of the new year. Copies of all revised or additional meeting notices are sent via fax to the Record, the Suburbanite, and Northern Valley Press, and are posted on the public bulletin board in the lobby of the Municipal Center. Okay. Public comments will be received at the regular public meeting following this work session. Before we get into to be considered, I'm going to give just a quick update about what's going on at Borough Hall to everyone. As many of you may have heard, that the governor has allowed additional businesses or additional activities to restart as of this Friday, which we're very happy about, which includes our tennis courts in Tenafly here, and we emailed through Community Pass probably about 2,000 or so people that typically are involved in that, and already 96 people by the end of the day signed up to use the tennis court starting this Friday, so that's good. We're starting conversations that some of the council members have been involved in that we have to continue and discuss in earnest at the next council meeting, which will be street closures for restaurants to be able to serve their customers outside. But again, that's going to be on the agenda for the next council meeting to discuss at length. Very happy to say Tenafly Cares, I was told today, has raised $39 short of $70,000. Wow. So that's excellent job there, Councilman Michaels, and to Andrew Till.
You're not supposed to say that, Marcus. I was hoping to get $39 from each of you on the call, and then you kind of messed that up.
Look, I brought.
I was supposed to do that before the meeting.
I brought my wallet. There's a check inside of it.
That's my new strategy.
I've got my wallet check for $39 for you. All right, but good job, Adam and Andrew, wherever you are. Our paving program started this week up on Woodland Street, and we'll be starting on Hudson Avenue, also Lower Hudson Avenue. So this week is EMS week, and we prepared a proclamation for our emergency medical services personnel, and I'm going to read that because they've really been outstanding, and we haven't been able to survive without them. So, proclamation. During Emergency Medical Services Week, we honor all of the emergency medical services providers who play such a critical role in our nation's health and safety. These incredible professionals respond to daily calls for urgent assistance and work tirelessly to serve their communities. Most recently, the Tenafly Volunteer Ambulance Corps has made significant contributions and immeasurable sacrifices during our response to the coronavirus pandemic, one of the most daunting and demanding challenges the country has ever faced. This week, we recognize these heroic men and women for their efforts to deliver life-saving care and compassion, and we acknowledge that our borough is a safer and healthier place because of their work. The Tenafly Volunteer Ambulance Corps are prepared to respond immediately to any crisis with pre-hospital assessment, trauma care, and medical transport. They do all of this under incredible pressure that can take an emotional and physical toll on even the most seasoned professionals. At a moment's notice, these dedicated men and women rush to employ their specialized knowledge, experience, and leadership to reduce the severity of injuries and save lives, often in very high-risk situations. The far-reaching and devastating scope of the coronavirus pandemic has increased the demands on our volunteer members. These heroes have courageously risen to the challenge. They remain undeterred in their efforts to deliver critical assistance, as they are often the first point of contact with patients who are experiencing coronavirus symptoms. Acting quickly and decisively, they evaluate and triage patients and transport them to hospitals while risking their health due to potential exposure. Now, therefore, I, Mark Zinner, Mayor of the Borough of Tenafly, hereby proclaim May 17th through May 23rd, 2020 as Emergency Medical Services Week. I encourage all residents to observe this occasion by showing their support for the Tenafly Volunteer Ambulance Corps. It's signed by Lizette Epitello, Borough Administrator and Clerk, and Mark Zinna, the Mayor. Okay, Susan's on the phone.
Thank you for that, Mr. Mayor.
You're welcome. Thank you to our ambulance corps, that's for sure. Susan's on the phone and she can hear, so that's all good. Here is this to give to them. Okay, so we'll go right into, somebody have a question? No? Okay. To go into be considered, we've got an email from a business owner talking about liquor license, the liquor licenses that have to be paid to Tenafly by the various organizations, the liquor stores, the restaurants, all these folks here who have been hit very hard by the shutdowns, obviously. Now, one of the things I'll say first, then we can open this up for conversation. When is the actual due date? When is the deadline that these have to be paid?
Since the state extended the term of the license to September 30th,
September 30th.
that's when instead of the license expiring June 30th, they will expire September 30th. The latest to pay in order for the borough to do its end for the renewal would be mid-August, around August 15th, depending what day of the week they're for.
Okay, so my only point about bringing up the date is that the council does not have to make a decision tonight. And, you know, if the council chooses to put this on a next work session for, again, a greater discussion or consideration, there is no time pressure because the payment on this is 3.5 to 4 months away. Go ahead, Lizette.
Let me add, the ordinances are set, the fees are set by an ordinance. And according to the state, a municipality can charge up to $2,500, that's the maximum. If the borough wishes to deviate from the current charges of the consumption licenses at $2,000, the distribution licenses at $1,650, and even the club licenses of $150, what the governing body would need to do, since it would just be for this term, is adopt a resolution. So it's only one reading, one adoption. This was done when Sandy hit and certain fees were waived and reduced, even though it's codified at a set number. Because of the special circumstances, the amendment was done for that time period by resolution.
Okay, so Lauren has your hand up, Lauren?
I do. Well, I also want to say, so I spoke with this business owner who was at the 130 Club, and what we've discussed is that many of these businesses in town have rents and mortgages due throughout this summer period in which they're really not getting the clientele that make up that funding. And while it is a significant amount of money for them to pay these licenses, you know, of course they're going to be paying their state ones, they can't waive those. And as a courtesy for the town, as a courtesy for the restaurants, can the town help them by either waiving or extending these fees so that they can cover rent? And especially for this business, which literally opened right before this pandemic, you know, they did construction and opened and have absolutely no ability to get people inside to see this brand new restaurant. So I just want to say, while, you know, we can consider the whole amount, we can also consider a percentage of a discount. So there are things to consider that our town can do to help these restaurants and liquor license owners just get a little bit of relief for temporary. And again, they still have to pay their state fees. So, you know, just for thought, I asked Lizette and Susan to put together all of the amounts and who would be affected. And it's, you know, a small amount, but I think for each and every one of these businesses, it might make a big difference, and it might make a small difference to our budget.
Go ahead, Lizette.
Just to answer Lauren's question, she asked if the amount could be changed or extended. The governing body can change the amount by whatever the consensus is to decide, but the due date cannot be extended because as part of the overall renewal, they have to have paid some type of municipal fee. It has to be certified online that they did the municipal portion. So
Okay.
the amount can change, but not the deadline.
Can we waive it totally?
It sounds like, Lizette, there has to be some dollar amount, so even if it was $10, because that's how the system, is this
No,
correct?
it doesn't, there is no minimum.
Oh,
It's
there
just-
is no minimum,
There's just a
okay.
maximum.
Okay.
Another thing that could be done, just food for thought, it could be a certain, whatever you do for the consumption license, which is the restaurant, you don't have to do exactly the same for the distribution, which is the liquor store and the club. So you could have different versions. You could
Okay.
do cut one by 50%, another one by 25, one by 100, so.
But
Yeah, all the-
you could actually do 0, and it would still be
Yes.
processed by the state correctly?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Lizette, can you just run that by me again? Is there a same town fee for the distributor versus the consumption?
No, consumption is higher. The restaurants pay $2,000, the liquor
Okay.
stores pay $1,650. According to
It just-
the state, the maximum any municipality can raise on those two categories is $2,500.
Okay, so the total we're looking at that the borough brings in is 26.9, is that right?
Correct.
Okay. Okay, so,
Any additional questions on that, or do you want to put that, does the council want to put that on the work session to have a greater conversation? Would you like recommendations from Borough Hall, or how do you want to move forward on this?
I would like to press this forward. I'm not sure how the rest of my council feels.
I think Councilman Menon has his hand up.
I'd like to put it on a future agenda
Okay.
A resolution or for discussion?
for discussion, sorry.
Any other council comments? No, I don't see anyone's hand up. So if that's the case, why don't we put it on the next work session? Let's do that.
Can I ask, can we draft a discussion so that way if we do get consensus after the discussion, we can move forward quickly on this and let them know so that way they have a little relief for their summer rents if that's the direction the council votes in?
Could I ask a general question first? Is, would the council want Borough Hall to prepare a draft resolution and a recommended change to the numbers, that will do some mathematical work, and then the council will have kind of a stick in the ground you can go up or down with?
Or say yes or no?
I just need someone to say yes or no.
I think that makes sense.
Okay, good. Okay.
Can I just ask, can Susan weigh in on this?
Go ahead,
if
Susan.
we-
Yeah.
If we don't collect this 26.9, or if we collect a portion of it, what's your opinion?
She's probably on mute, but part of, our discussion here certainly will be, Susan will be, an integral part of it, for sure.
I don't know where she went. Oh, there she is.
Susan, can you hear us? Susan, can you hear us?
She's
I
muted.
think we lost her.
No,
No, she's here, she's muted, doesn't realize it.
Yeah.
let's see.
Okay.
Let me unmute her. Okay, Susan? Sue?
All right, so we'll come up with recommendations. Clearly, Susan might be having a technical problem, and she'll be an integral part of that discussion with the
She
recommendations.
just texted me, she said we budgeted, on the revenue side of the budget, under alcohol licenses, that section, what's in the budget is 25,000.
Okay. All right.
Well, did we collect from the unsighted ones?
Yes,
Yep.
We do.
yes.
That's a critical question and element for our discussion next time.
Yes, anything that's unsighted, that's considered a pocket license, it's still active, they still have to pay the state fee, and there's a resolution that you see every year, to renew a license pursuant to a special ruling. What that is, the license is inactive, it's not at a site, they have to prove to the state that they either have plans to activate it or they're trying to sell it, and they pay a separate special fee to the state, and the state says, okay, you could renew it and you have to try to move on with it. So, these licenses are all current with their payments, and they just have to, fill out their paperwork with the state as far as the ABC and Division of Taxation for paying sales tax.
So someone who has a pocket license is paying the annual fee but not actually ever generating any revenue.
Correct. Normally, the market for selling a license around this area, not so much including Fort Lee, anything with a liquor store is around in the 100,000 range, and a restaurant license is about 200,000.
Right.
And then if there is an actual site and they buy the stock, that's a negotiable price, but those historically, in all the years I've been a clerk, so that's 13 years, that's normally the market range.
So someone with a pocket license doesn't necessarily need relief because they're not generating any sales or using it anyway.
But they fall under a category. You have pockets
Oh,
in the
okay.
consumption
Understood.
side and
Okay.
pockets in the distribution side.
Oh, and you can't pick within, okay,
No.
okay, all right. All right, any other questions on that topic? We'll make recommendations and we'll set it up for the next work session with the draft resolution. Okay, next we go into the resolutions. One of the changes, somebody have a question?
Yeah, real quick, Mark.
Go ahead.
Can we have recommendations before the meeting as opposed to on the day
Yeah,
of the meeting?
absolutely, absolutely.
If we can just
Yep.
circulate something.
Yeah, hold on, let me write that note. Yeah.
It would be in the agenda packet.
Okay, before the meeting.
Or even as a separate email.
All right, in terms of the resolutions, we're going to add in Resolution R20-199. Do we need to say anything officially for that? Everyone has a copy of it? Lizette
Which is,
or
I'm
Omar?
sorry, which,
That's the resolution for the position of Director of Public Works being appointed.
okay, just wanted to clarify.
Any questions on that?
I have questions on the resolution, but not on that.
I have a question on that resolution.
Pardon me?
Dan has a question.
I have a question on the wording on that resolution.
Go ahead, Dan.
The title is, where did it go? I'm looking for, sorry.
Where is it? I'm sorry, where is it?
They were, Omar? They were yesterday or today?
Email.
It was emailed.
It was emailed to all council members and myself yesterday.
Oh, all right.
Go ahead, Dan.
The title is director, correct?
Correct.
Or appointing?
Was, that's correct. Was that your only question? I guess that was his only question. Any other questions?
No, but can I comment on it?
Sure.
Very excited, and Jeff, I'm going to defer to you too. This resolution will appoint a new DPW director. And Jeff and I on the DPW committee vetted a lot of very good qualified candidates, and we're excited to bring someone with lots of skills to the borough. Jeff, anything?
I think it's going to be a wonderful addition to the borough. We really worked hard. This was a long search process. It took multiple searches, actually. And hopefully we're at the end of a long, well-paved road.
And thank you to the search committee.
Kelly did that, DPW, well-paved road, that was really well done.
I got
That's a
it.
great teacher, I like it.
That went right over my head.
Dad, Jeff.
Okay. Any other questions or comments on that resolution?
Not on that one.
Okay. I'm going to,
Lauren had a question.
Lauren, you have another question?
And not on that one, on other resolutions.
Yeah, that's the section we're on.
Okay, so do anyone have any I'm going to make a comment on the appointment of municipal court judge, but does anyone have comments on any other resolutions or questions? Yes, Lauren.
I'd like to start actually with the bill list. There was a bill I wanted some information on. We have $191.93 for snack for the youth center. And since that's closed, I'm not sure that that's an appropriate expenditure.
Okay, hold on a second. where is that?
It would,
What page is that on?
All right, let me find it. I had written notes about it.
it might have been an old invoice. Susan would have to look it up.
How much was it?
It was $191.
$1.93.
Who was the vendor? Maybe you could have looked,
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the question.
Who was the
The vendor?
vendor?
it'd be easier to look it up that way.
I didn't write it down, I just wrote down it was for the youth center.
Okay.
Hold on, I'll find it, it's on the bill list.
191.
Give me a minute. I also had some other question on the resolution too. Do you have the list by department instead of by vendor?
No, we have it in front of us by vendor, right?
No, we go to
That's
the back.
what
it's
Where,
by
the back has by department?
Page 7 at the top, Lauren.
Page-
7 at the top.
Yeah, I
Oh,
missed
see,
it.
I missed it, I'm already on 16. Okay, thank you, Jeff.
Page 7 at the top.
Yes, Costco renewal, $191.93. Is that, it says for snack money, is that a Costco membership or did we buy $191 in snacks?
I believe that is a membership, but I don't have access to Edmunds right now.
Yeah.
Susan has.
That should, okay.
I know, what'd you say?
No, I just thought that, that it seemed, I guess, we do have a Costco membership that, it comes out of snack money.
Well, Susan can check into that tomorrow when she has access to Edmunds, and then she can answer that question,
Okay,
okay?
can I go to the next one?
Absolutely.
I'd like to discuss the fiber optics contract with
Sure.
the school board. The renewal.
Go ahead.
We have the shared services agreement for fiber optics, but from last I heard, we weren't renewing until we investigated this.
So is your question, why are we doing this?
Why is it on the resolutions when the last discussion we had on the issue was that we were gonna review all of the entirety of IT under the shared services?
The reason why it was brought for renewal is that the term had sunsetted, so in order, just until a decision is made, it was just an extension. The parties do not have to abide, by the full term. There's a clause for either party to withdraw. So if, once this pandemic is over and an evaluation is done and a determination is made to go elsewhere with the fiber, and it's in November, as long as you give the adequate notice, I believe it's 30 days, then the agreement would terminate.
And,
It's just a placeholder because of the timing.
and just so you know, that we're not just renewing it, we've got a conversation going on. The police chief believes he's got a separate fiber optic network in the police department that we could potentially expand to over here. And we're trying to figure that out. We might be able to just bring a box over and then have whatever, Optimum and routers around Borough Hall. So we're trying to figure all that out.
Well, I'd like to pull this resolution right now. I'd like to look in and speak to the police before I sign anything. I don't see a term of 30 days.
Well, this ends June 30th. And we don't pay anything for this, do we?
The only thing that we pay,
No, this ends June 30th, 2021.
No, it expires this June, I meant.
yeah, it expires June 30th, 2020.
Right, so,
The only payment is, from the borough, is to their attorney for drafting it. There's no, like, rent, it's not, part of the IT annual payment.
well, since we have about 6 weeks to explore this, I'd like to pull this resolution and touch base and see what our options are. I'm very much not interested in having the shared service with IT, stuff from the Board of Ed, because the service has been so, I guess, substandard right now. So I would like to pull this resolution.
What?
You
Yeah,
have to
well,
pull the-
all right,
Anybody
so,
else?
the only thing I want to say to that is this ends June 30th, and the Board of Ed is looking to take back this,
They're meeting tonight,
Yeah.
last night on this.
they are looking to get more bandwidth and get this out of Borough Hall. We don't pay anything for it. I would think, we'll poll the council, but if there's no charge for this, and so if they decide to pull it in the future because we're okay with that, that's okay. But we're not gonna have new fiber optic solutions in here in the next 5 weeks. That's
I
just,
thought we do pay for this. But
But-
isn't there a fee under our RT?
no, we don't pay for it. It's
And this is not
every
included?
agreement we have with the Board of Ed, even if there is no cost associated with it, there's always a written agreement regardless of what it is. I mean, do you want me to poll the council, or we just leave it in here?
What does everyone else think?
Jeff?
Well, if it's not costing us anything, then we can pull out this agreement, we can still look for the solutions, no harm, no foul.
Dan?
Okay.
Adam?
Leave it.
Julie?
You're muted.
Julie's muted. Lauren, how do you feel about it now?
She gave the thumbs up.
You're okay? Who did I miss?
I'd like to
Minute.
add in a sentence to the agreement that gives it a 30-day term.
We can ask for that amendment? Yeah.
I understand that, but within the next year and a half
I
of the
think-
agreement, if we want to get out, let's add in a term
Yeah.
to get out. So
But
that's
but just time out, does that 30 days allow them to kick us out? Again,
We will,
zero, it's not worth it.
no, I understand. If we can add a 30-day opt-out notice at any stage, we'll ask if they will agree to that. Either they will or they won't, 30-day opt-out. We'll ask them. No harm. Okay, any other questions about any other resolutions before I go to the judge?
While we're on that topic, for school, can we actually do a WebEx with the joint use?
Can we WebEx a joint use meeting? Sure. Do we have one scheduled? That's interesting. We'll reach out to the school, the Board of Ed, to see if they're participating in this. They probably would.
They
Yeah.
I think are using Zoom, but they're meeting remotely also.
So let's see if we can schedule one up then. Okay. Any other questions on the resolutions? Okay.
Let's go to the judge.
All right, so first, I want to thank the search committee, which was made up of former council president Max Bausch, Councilman Adam Michaels, and Council President Jeff Grossman. Thank you to the three of them. They interviewed and reviewed approximately 15 different resumes, and they presented me with their final 3 candidates. And amongst those 3, I chose Benjamin Choi, and I'm just going to go down a list of some of his accomplishments that kind of guided me into picking him. First, he's a municipal court judge in the city of Hoboken and the borough of Ridgefield, and I like the fact that he's from Hoboken, which is, a much bigger location and city than we are, so he sees a lot of diverse, serious issues there. So that's excellent in terms of experience. He was a municipal prosecutor in Hoboken for 10 years before they asked him to take an appointment as judge. So that really speaks to their satisfaction with his work ethic and his work. He's currently a Board of Education attorney in Palisades Park. He does tax appeal work. He was a councilman, was elected in January 2000, in November of 2018, and served for 6 months and resigned to become a judge, which kind of indicates his, after coming off of an election, giving it up to become a municipal judge. And he was he was a captain in the Airborne for 8 years in the United States Army. And he has a lot of diverse experience on the council side, working with the Board of Ed, coming from a larger city, and I like his varied experience and the diversity of experience he has. And I'm very happy and very proud to pick Ben Choi to be our next municipal judge. And does anyone have any comments or questions, or would Former Councilman Bash or Councilman Michaels or Councilman Grossman like to say anything? And Lauren?
And Dan had his hand.
Okay, Lauren first?
So, Mark, thank you. We're excited to have a new position for this as well. Thank you for the search committee. I'd like to actually hear from the search committee, if that's okay.
Go ahead.
I know it sent around the resumes, because it's the advice and consent of the council for this, right? So we have to vote on it. So I'd like to be informed before I vote.
Everyone has the resumes, and go ahead, whoever, any of the search committee members. Jeff?
I'll let Max start first. I kind of have gotten used to in our interviews going around in a certain fashion. So Max, why don't you lead off?
I appreciate it. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much. First of all, let me tell you it was an honor to basically be a part of the search committee to do our job. We had a very diverse group of people. Some of them with much more experience, some of them with less experience, some of them with a balance of experience with different type of experience that we could really select. The selection that we made was not enough. Let's start with that. The last three judges that we decided to interview based on the best we received, the two judges that had a much higher and much longer experience as judges, and Mr. Choi, which was my first choice, also as a judge, has a it's as a judge, maybe 6 months or so, but experience as a prosecutor, as a lawyer, as a and more than that, he showed that he has a variety of achievements. It was probably, and not probably, the only one that had achievements outside the law, which he basically, he was a captain in the Air Force. And during our interview, we interview everybody and trying to make decisions based on not only what we see on paper, but also what you see when you talk to a person. In my mind, Mr. Choi was the most honest, the one that looked you in the eye and you knew that he's telling the truth, the one that was very modest in his behavior, the one that knew that being a judge is not a position of strength, but as a position of humility, and he is over there to basically dispose of judgment and respect the people that come in front of him, and also a person that knew that he is independent, and in case of problems with other maybe a borough or other employees, will make a decision
Okay, thank you, Max. Jeff or Adam? Oh, hold,
Okay.
hold on a second, you're muted. You ought to unmute
Jeff,
Jeff.
you can go. Please go first.
He's muted. Hold on a second, Jeff. Go ahead.
Okay, you can hear me now?
Yes.
So, Adam's deferring, I wants the last word, that's fine. What it boiled down to for me is, we did a pretty extensive, we had 15 resumes. I think everybody needs to know that. From the 15 resumes, we each came up with our independent way of coming up with our top 5. What happened with the top 5, when I got them and put them all together, there were 3 names that were on all 3 of our lists. And then there were 2 names that were on 2 of our lists and 1 name that was on 1 list only. One of the ones with the 2 names, or 2 recommendations, I actually had recommended initially, and then I reconsidered because I realized the person, and I'm not going to use any names except Mr. Troy's tonight, that this person never really sent us a resume. What they sent was, I'm a judge in X town, let me tell you about my family, and that was it. And I thought, if you're applying for a judgeship, I really thought that was not the way to do it. That's not what we asked for. So it came down to 4 people. Of the 4, I contacted all of them. One of them never got back to me. I sent emails to all, and then the one who never got back, I did a follow-up phone call, never heard anything. So that left us with 3 that we were actually interviewing face-to-face on Zoom. At that point, I put on where my lawyer's hat, having been a litigant for many years, having appeared in a lot of courtrooms before a lot of judges, including night court judges in New York. And what I was looking for was demeanor. Part of the problem is it's very hard to tell through Zoom. Some people are less comfortable. But one of the candidates to me seemed clearly less comfortable. A lot of problems with eye contact and directness, which left me personally with 2 candidates who I really liked, but I thought all 3 would qualify. And at that point, I felt, as the mayor knows, I reached out to him late last week, and said, here's the views of the committee. I expressed some of the problems we had. We had at least one member who didn't like this one, another member who didn't like that one. So I laid that all out. And I said, really, we can't go wrong with any of the 3 choices. They all have experience. I felt that 2 of them had many years on the bench. That is a plus, but I also felt that some vitality and some newness from the 3rd candidate, who does have not only experience on the bench, but had almost 2 decades of prosecutorial experience in, as you mentioned, Mayor, Hoboken, and he was hired by Hoboken to be a judge there after having been a prosecutor for a long time. And in terms of my own comfort, I felt that the 2 candidates who I thought were top are people who I would be, as a lawyer, comfortable appearing in front of them. And as a lawyer, it's actually really pretty easy. I find it even harder if it's somebody who's a pro se litigant, which is what a lot of these defendants are. And you try and put yourself in the shoes of a pro se defendant, and it's not easy. So I'm very comfortable with the choices. I believe we laid them out fairly. We did want to give the mayor several to choose from. We ended up really having all 3. And ultimately, I think we couldn't go wrong with any of the 3 recommendations. I will add parenthetically that the one choice that only got the 1 vote, and so was automatically out ahead, was the only one on anyone's list who had 0 experience as a judge. 0. I mean, so we had a few people who applied with 0 experience as a judge, and none of them, except this one candidate, made anyone's list. And so everybody else had some degree of experience. We had one candidate I will mention who was fairly high on everyone's list who withdrew voluntarily because that candidate would have to give up their criminal practice if they were hired, and they were not willing to do that. So that's the process we went through. It was pretty extensive. Obviously, it's not easy doing all this by Zoom, but we were trying to get it done and get it in several recommendations to the mayor. And again, I think, Mayor, you can say that, or speak to that I did lay out pluses and minuses for each of the three candidates.
No, I think that's a very, an excellent assessment summary, and you did lay out the pluses and minuses, and in terms of these three candidates, you know, I would say if we were scoring them on 0 to 100, you know, Ben Choi has a score of 100, and the other two gentlemen each get a score of 99. This isn't, you know, there's not a lot of professional differences that you can point out that would give any sort of negative assessment on either of the three. Councilman Michaels, any comments?
I think Councilman Bash and Grossman laid out the issues, the qualifications that they all had, and it's the mayor's prerogative to select the person that he thinks he or she thinks is best.
I see consent of council, Adam.
Yeah, and
So,
personally, I feel conflicted with, you know, some of the stuff that I learned about some of the candidates through the process. You know, I'll abstain from the vote.
Dan,
Dan?
had a question.
Dan has a question? Hold on a second. You might be muted. Hold on, Dan. Is she muted?
He said he was okay.
Okay, Lauren, you have a question?
Julie raised her hand.
And then Julie?
I just want to ask if the,
Please put it on. I'm sorry, go ahead.
oh, no, Julie, go ahead.
So, just a weird thing, a question about on his resume. If any of you got the opportunity to ask why he has awards from the Podiatry Association, was he also
Yes.
podiatrist? I wouldn't have known. It's fascinating to me, his background. Did anyone ask that?
So let me say, first of all, no. What we did was, didn't think it was relevant to the municipal judgeship unless somebody comes in there with a foot problem. What we did do, and what I felt to mention, is before we did any interviewing, we circulated a list of questions, and we stuck to that so that they were all asked the same questions. We did have the opportunity, if anyone really wanted to ask anything outside the box, they were welcome to. No one asked that, along with some of his other interesting things on the resume. But we all have interesting paths.
He's a podiatrist and a pilot. I just thought that's interesting.
Lauren, did you have a question?
Do you know if any of these candidates, since they are judges elsewhere, have the time to give to a borough that's needed? Did everyone ask that?
Yes,
That was actually one of the questions that we vetted with each of them, was knowing what the days and hours are, can they make the commitment? All three of them were adamant that they could.
And we don't choose a judge and a backup judge, or a second judge, like we do prosecutor?
No, you do not. Any other questions?
Vanu has his hand up.
Oh, Vanu, couldn't see you, sorry.
Sorry, I just wanted to make a couple of comments. Just thank you, Lauren, for asking for additional information. I think that was valuable and necessary. Jeff, and just thank you for looking at a judge from the defendant's side, because when you go to night court, sometimes there's a certain insensitivity among the judges, as though they're just another number and they have to fulfill, and take it to the prosecutor. There are certain stock ways that they manage a courtroom. So I think I'm glad you looked at that angle in coming up with the suggestion. I think it's a position that we did need and do need for the functioning of our courts. So I'm glad that we've made the decision. Thank you to the three of you for doing this.
Our pleasure.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions before we move on? No other questions? Okay, questions about, on the public hearing, the second reading of ordinance 2008? Well, I'm sorry, Julie? Julie?
No, I'm okay. Let's let someone else first.
Vanu, go ahead, please.
Yeah, so, I just wanted to kind of flesh out the needs of a security system, so that we have a full discussion about it rather than just a vote. What is the concern? Why are we, are we putting it in temporarily during this COVID period? Are we going to continue with it, for the next 50 years? Just some information, some of the background.
Do you want to start this, or do you want me to? Okay, so there's several different issues here. The first issue, of course, is the health and safety of the employees who work at Borough Hall. And right now, Borough Hall, prior to this COVID situation, was basically an open office environment. Anyone can walk in off the street, and that was going on, and people were able to walk into the employees' lunchroom. They're able to walk into the planning and zoning board offices unchecked, go to the tax assessor, walk in all different directions without any guidance whatsoever. And now we've got this situation. We've got guidance about modifications from the state government and what we should do in terms of really being able to screen the people that come into Borough Hall, determine whether, their temperature is within a particular range, and we've got equipment coming in for that that's being donated to the borough. We want to have enough.
It's not even proven to be a thing anymore.
So let me finish let me go through what I'm saying, okay? So in order to keep people from wandering around, we're putting up plexiglass screens in all the departments. We need to have our employee lunchroom on like a key fob, so only the employees can go into it. We had two particular incidents here already where we were forced to put a police car out front because of a particular situation. We had an individual who kind of uses Borough Hall as their home away from home in terms of bathing. I've had to have the police chief chase people away from banging on the glass windows of my office. And so, there's health issues, there's some safety issues, and we want to be able to we don't want to stop any access to Borough Hall. That's not the intent. Everyone will be allowed in. We simply want to be able to control the process, the number of people that come in. And Vanu, to your question of whether this is going to be 50 years or 5 months, we don't know. I would like Borough Hall to be open with no keys as quickly as possible, but we don't want to be in a situation where we have people coming in who may in fact have a virus or any other contagious disease that could be spread very easily. And Vanu, go ahead.
So I completely understand the concerns during this period, the COVID-19 period, where people might not be in the best of health, or there might be some health considerations and contact with employees. people already feel this. We received an email today about somebody who felt like they don't feel like they can reach out to government, but they felt forced to for whatever reason. But you know, I think we want to avoid making people feel that government is inaccessible to them. I mean, in terms of wandering around, I mean, yes, you don't want people wandering around. That's why under normal circumstances, again, not under COVID, but under normal circumstances, you do want to, you have people to make sure that the people don't wander around. That's the idea behind being fully staffed. Do we know as a, you know, as a county, you know, do we know other towns that are doing this, or is this just us? I mean, and not that we have to go by what other people do or other people have to go by what we do, but I just want to get a sense of whether you looked into what other towns have done.
So I have not done a survey of what all of the towns have done. I mean, I have been to towns, whether, I mean, they're larger towns, whether it's the Bergen County Municipal Building, I mean, the Bergen County in Hackensack, I go there regularly. That's got a whole different level of security on it, of course, and metal detectors, and, you know, we're not proposing anything like that here, although that does happen here on our 4 or 5 court nights a month where we have that level of security. But I have not gone out to other towns. You know, we're also guided very much by directives we're getting from the state government, you know, from Trenton about their recommendations for what are going to be necessary, what the CDC is saying in order to keep people healthy. You know, we've got obvious protections at the police department that have been there for a long time for much serious safety issues, and we've got the protections over at the DPW building where you have to be buzzed in. Well, in particular, yeah, you do have to be buzzed into the building after you go to reception. So, you know, it's not that unusual. We already have it in 2 of our facilities in town. We don't have it at Borough Hall other than the police station. But, you know, the answer, again, to repeat myself, the answer to is it going to be here for 50 years or a few months? We don't know the answer to this question, but we have to be prepared for it. And we're going by the guidance of the CDC and the state government in terms of what the expectations have to be to open up safely.
But again, just a final, you know, your intention is to, once this emergency period is over, to open it back up again so we're not buzzing residents in.
Yeah, I think the answer to that question is yes. Our intention is to ultimately open back up. I'm not going to sit here and promise when that's going to be, but
We can't promise.
Right.
I understand your point.
Yeah.
You know, we don't know when.
Right.
But as long as there's some assurance that we're going to return to being an open government rather than a buzz, you know, buzz yourself in.
No, I think that's very reasonable, and, you know, for the same reason the council has to vote on doing this tonight. You know, the council can vote in the future to decide it's time to change the process back to what it may have been, as long as it meets all the guidance from the state. So I think we're on the same page, Vanu. The argument or the debate will be over timing and appropriateness.
Great. Thank you.
You're welcome. Lauren? And then Julie?
Sorry to interrupt earlier, but I will say that even the hospitals are no longer doing the temperature detection. It's not definitive for virus versus non-virus for COVID. So we should definitely touch base with our Board of Health and make sure that we're not doing anything that's not acceptable medical practice, as well as the temperature detection has raised privacy concerns other places. So I think that should be taken out. The second thing is...
Could I comment? Lauren, I'm going to interrupt just to comment on that. Just so everyone's clear, there's no money in these dollars for that. Someone is trying to donate it to the borough. There's no money in here for that at all.
Fine, that's better. A couple things. The Shaw security code is 14,965, yet we're putting in an ordinance for 16. Where's the additional? Why do we have an additional $1,000 or so?
So, okay, so Lizette can answer, Lizette, you want to address the additional dollars?
It's not padded, it's just in case there is a product overrun or there may be a lock or something that wasn't accounted for initially, so that way the project can be completed. Whatever isn't spent, and Shaw's gave an estimate, it may be less than the 14.9. Whatever isn't spent is canceled out, because we have to send the full invoice and proof of payment to FEMA to obtain a 75% reimbursement.
Okay, what if FEMA doesn't reimburse it?
Well, then we have spent the money if FEMA doesn't reimburse it. We have to expend the money and pay our bills
Yes.
before we get reimbursed from FEMA. And just to throw in a note, I forgot to mention, in terms of the temperature, and I agree with the council that we need to do more homework on that, but the JIF, the insurance providers, are also giving us guidance about taking temperatures here. So there's a lot of moving parts, that's all I'm saying, that we're working through. But go ahead, Lauren, your second question.
No, my second question was the money, so
Okay. Okay.
I think that's it. Oh, one more thing, can we, reduce any of these measures by putting a police officer on staff in the front?
We could, but the cost of that would be far more expensive.
That would be more expensive to have. Okay,
Right.
just asking.
Okay. Julie, did you have a question?
Yeah, okay. A few things I wanted to break down this. So I'm gonna start with my questions regarding, because I know it hasn't exactly been fleshed out, but going back to Lauren's point about efficacy, and I saw an email from Lizette originally today describing about, the key fobs, that makes sense, some sort of covering, I'm guessing like you would see in the checkout lines or in the bank tellers, like some glass, if you were approaching a person once you get into Borough Hall. But this piece of the screening, I just wanted to ask about, are we clear that we're not going to be doing things that are just not effective to the fight against this virus? Because I have a real problem with things that are window dressing. When you say to someone, oh, do you feel sick? Oh, okay, to go home. That just, it struck me as a little bit strange.
Part
With what exactly this would be, screening,
part of the
video.
part of the guidance we're getting, again, from the governor's office and the CDC, is that employees of any particular business should be pre-screened in terms of the issues of, before you leave home, do you take your temperature? When you get to the office, answer a series of questions. How do you feel today? Did you take your temperature? So again, there are a lot of moving parts. Very anecdotal, Julie. You're 100% right. So it's not a resolve. There's no concrete answer to this yet. It's not like going through the metal detector to see if someone has a weapon on them, which is a very concrete process. We're all a little green here.
Okay, so then that kind of leads me to my second question. Once this is worked out, how this would look, can we amend the ordinance to put in wording that we would lift these
Security measures?
security measures, I'm trying to go diplomatically to say it, once we have the state changes, or the federal government, well, I'm going to go with the state in this case, changes its, they have a stage of the phasing into real life or whatever. Can we add wording about that so it's not just that we have to go back and undo something? Can we say that when it reaches the level that we take out
So
that?
this ordinance is basically for spending money, right? It doesn't cover, do we put a rope up a red rope with, in terms of where people walk, and it doesn't get into how we hang plexiglass and what the safety process is. That's not what this is about. This is just about buying this particular equipment that we need. And, the council can pass an ordinance or a resolution changing access to Borough Hall and the process whenever it chooses. Going back to, Vanu's very well-positioned point, we can turn this off whenever we want to. But this is just about spending money. It's not about the process itself.
Okay, because I just would like to say that, some of the discussion, we were conflating the COVID, threat with, of course, physical threats, possibly gunmen or terrorists. And my concern is that we just, we're not an inner city, municipal hall. And if someone's going to buy a house in Tenafly and they visit our, municipal hall, that they aren't, their first impression over time is not, oh my God, it's locked, I need to be buzzed in, I can't get in, there's all this security. And it gives an impression of the town that it's possibly more dangerous than it is. And I just want to make sure we pull back whatever we can when it's appropriate. We're not a dangerous community, I just wouldn't want to give that impression that we are.
Yeah, no, I agree. That's not the impression. This is all about health, really. That's the priority. I mean, we weren't having this conversation 3 months ago. No one.
Right.
If 3 months ago we had recommended, let's lock the front door, be buzzed in, put ropes up so that people can't walk around, everyone would have laughed about it, right? But it's not. It's a little bit of a different scenario we're in, and I'm going to go back to Councilman Menon's point. Hopefully we won't have to do that for this long. We'll see how it goes.
Okay.
Any other questions? No one else has their hand up? No? Okay. Okay. So we're ready to adjourn.
Yes.
Can I get a motion to adjourn, please?
That's everything?
That's.
Now, is it good if-
Go ahead, Vanu. Go ahead, Vanu.
Sorry. Is for the good of the order in work session, or
Nothing,
where does that come up? Or is it a regular?
Public meeting?
that's
It's
it.
not on the agenda.
It's on the work session, but no one requested to have anything listed on the good of the order.
Okay, then, if it's okay, I'd like to
Go.
bring up a couple of things for the good of the order. if that's
Go ahead,
okay.
Vanu.
Okay, so, there's, I understand that we have, our bill lists that come out through the resolutions. And, I alluded to this, in the last meeting about the interim bill list. And what I'd like to, do is, put on the agenda if possible, a discussion of making the, interim bill list available to us before the money, for those interim bill lists are spent. Just so that we have visibility of what will be, spent,
So put that on the next work session.
This is true with the regular bill list, it should be for the interim bill list as well.
Okay, so we'll put that on the next work session. And Susan, do you want to make any comment about that? Oh, she's muted. Okay.
I mean, just purely, it can be through email,
Understood.
I don't know what the proper format should be, but, just let's have a discussion about it.
Okay. Because it might not even have to be through the process of a council meeting. Like you said, you can just get interim emails, whatever that may mean.
Correct, exactly. So if we can discuss that next time. The other thing I think for the good of the order. Yeah, sorry.
Actually, I'm sorry, just on that interim bill list, and I can stop, but actually, directly to that point, I was speaking to Susan. I know there were some questions on the council last time on some of the restaurant bills. I wanted to just get the council's alignment with Susan and Mary Patino and the team in the finance group has just been incredible helping with Tenafly Cares. We did notice when Susan and I were talking last that there is, just because because the way the council meetings line up and when the bills have to get submitted, the time is getting pretty long between when the restaurants are serving their meals and when they're paying them. Unfortunately, I have been getting a lot of notes from the restaurants that they're laying out money for, it's a good thing, large food things, and then they're not getting paid for a long time. So just to help you guys, last week we served a meal on a Wednesday, so it was May 13th. The fastest we can do it with the regular bill list is that they're not going to get paid until June 10th. And that's literally if Susan writes a check for me and writes the check, and then I literally go to Borough Hall, pick it up myself, and hand deliver it to the restaurants. So what I'd love to ask the team, and particularly since Councilman Menon brought up a good idea to review the interim bill list, to make sure it's okay with the council to put those restaurant bills on the interim bill list so they don't have to wait literally a full month to get their money.
I just want to interject here. You know, the very last page of the bill list we have is the interim bill list.
Council doesn't get that.
Pardon me?
Council never got that in 30-something years.
So, but they got it this time.
No, I
Did
wasn't.
they have that in their packets now?
No.
Oh, it's not in the packets,
Because all that there was health insurance bills.
because they were all health insurance bills. Okay, all right, go ahead, I'm sorry. Go ahead, was Julie next? Susan?
I just want to say, sorry, before you, so I don't know if we have to, again, I know we don't vote in work sessions, if we could bring that to the meeting coming, the meeting in the next 5 minutes, and just want to get alignment with the council that this is something that we're okay to do going forward during the COVID pandemic. Is that okay with the council?
Lauren, do you want to go first?
Susan wanted to answer.
But just the council has to respond to Adam's question.
No, Adam, absolutely.
Okay.
I mean, the faster the better.
Yeah.
I didn't realize what a time lapse, and that's such a shame for these restaurants that are working tirelessly for this program and to give, meals to our seniors and meals to our families here in Tenafly. My question actually is for Susan. Susan, is there any way to do this electronically? Chase sends me Venmo, anything? Can we make it faster?
We're a government.
Right.
Yeah, but can we establish that for the government? It's still a record of it. Everyone else is banking electronically.
What?
He just needs consent.
Right. We can actually do that here. We only need consensus. We were not taking a vote. If Adam has consensus to do this, we can do it forward. We can do it, right?
Nodding heads.
Nodding,
So, about Adam's question, did Lauren get whatever she asked to answer? I don't know.
No.
Susan has to answer.
Sorry.
Okay, we'll come back to it.
okay.
So about Adam's question, I don't disagree, but we shouldn't make this, if we want to do this, paying the restaurants, as an interim list, fine. In my mind, the only thing that I would, noise in the background. The only thing I would recommend is that this doesn't become a regular pattern. The interim bill is meant for emergency spending. And if this is considered emergency spending, that's, I'm fine with that.
I would say that it would be. This is an emergency situation,
Yeah,
right?
wait a minute, the bill lists aren't about emergency spending.
Susan, why you keep muting yourself?
Yeah, Susan keeps muting herself here, and we need her on.
Susan, you're unmuted. Can you explain?
Did she call in just as a backup?
No, she's on like the rest of you, just without video.
Even though she's unmuted, she's not speaking to us.
Yeah, we don't know why. Hold on.
If she can call in, that might.
Yeah, Susan, can you hear us? No, Susan, she's unmuted.
Can we wait 2 minutes to get she gets on?
Yeah, I don't know why she can't,
She should call and we'll wait.
But the one thing I do want to make sure that the community understands is Tenafly Cares is a worthwhile
Who else had their hand up next? So do we have consensus on, Adam, what he's saying here? Yes? Jeff? Yes? Vanu?
Yeah, I'm fine with, putting it on the interim
Okay.
bill list.
Julie?
Sorry.
Lauren?
Yeah, that's fine.
Lauren, yes?
Absolutely.
Okay, and who, Dan?
Yes, if it's legal.
Okay,
Yeah, it's legal, exactly.
okay. All right, any other, any other statements or questions?
Can I just respond? I don't think we would have this set up as a trust account in the borough if it was illegal.
The entire,
The CFO has checked this, we've got permission from the state,
Approving
it's
monies,
legal.
approving monies between meetings.
Well, Susan, the CFO, will tell us if there's any issues.
yeah, that-
That's what I meant.
yeah,
I am sure, yes.
yeah, we're not gonna do anything that's not 100% appropriate and allowed and legal.
Exactly.
Okay, are we ready to, move? Vanu?
Sorry, just one more item.
Oh, there's Susan.
Susan, all right, Susan,
There's Susan.
okay, hold on, Susan's on, let Susan speak.
You gotta call in the.
Susan, Susan has the floor.
I can hear everything, and I was unmuting and muting.
All right, so let's,
Doesn't work for you, Susan, computer.
Susan, do you wanna weigh in on the question?
We have an interim bill list, there's no problem supplying it. We could, you know, it could go with the bill list that I could see was being paid. We called the restaurants who needed the money right away, and we were, I think the good plan would be, the ones that agreed that we can wait until the bill list, we do that, and the ones that need it right away, we don't make them wait as long.
Yep, that works.
Okay,
Who doesn't need it right away, though? I mean, I feel like if the restaurants are laying out large amounts of money and food, why wouldn't they need it right away? I mean, maybe we just make a practice of getting it all in.
Well, Mary called every restaurant, so we know who said, you know, we can wait.
Okay.
There's a handful of ones that can't, we're deviating from the process of how you do a bill list. So really, the interim bill list is more for items that cannot wait for, the next meeting. So,
Okay.
So this way, if they can wait, that's what they really should do. If there's a restaurant that's, you know, in need, then of course we don't want them to wait. And then Adam can let us know, and we could put it on the inter-bill list, and that's how.
Okay.
And to your point, Susan, you know, there are items that are not, you know, restaurant related, that are passed through the interim bill list, and we should at least just have visibility, is my point.
We do submit it, and then it can be, it will go on to the clerk's office to pass it along to that next meeting.
okay, are we ready to move on then? Could I,
So, there was just one more thing I was going to, ask for the good order.
go ahead.
So we have been doing work session, you know, discussions of work session, resolutions in the work session, and we've been voting on those same resolutions during the regular session on the same day. I'd like to put on the agenda for the future this discussion on having the work session the resolutions during the work session follow the following meeting by the resolution that we vote on.
That will take everything twice as long to get accomplished. How would we?
What I propose, and you know, it's just discussion, but what I would propose is whatever items need to be done, you know, that need, you know, same day responses, they should be broken out, and we should be aware of what they are, why we're voting on it that same day. Whereas other things that can wait 2 weeks, we should put on the following, for both following meeting.
But I mean, I'm not clear how that would, like, everything on the list of resolutions we have here tonight I'm not sure, like, everyone got this information on Friday. I'm not clear what we would want to wait here at all on the resolution list.
So in the, go ahead.
In the new, on the income bill list this time, you have the New Jersey Pension and Benefits, Bergen County Utilities Authority, defined contribution, retirement plan, school, county open space, county of Bergen, and one utility bill. So these are the type of items that we cannot wait on for the next meeting.
No, so I agree, and that's the previous discussion, so I agree, okay. This is on the resolutions, and the reason I say this is there's something that we actually can wait for, where we introduce the resolution in the work session. In the past, we didn't have the work session and the regular session on the same day. We would have one week where we would introduce the resolution, and then the next week was the vote on it.
Lizette has a,
Hold it on the same day.
Timmy?
go ahead, Lizette, please.
The schedule used to be, first Tuesday was a work session only, second Tuesday was a regular meeting, no meeting the third, fourth meeting was combined. That was changed in 2013 to have two combined meetings. And what happens is, when you had the separate meetings, when you had the work session, you didn't have really all the resolutions. The resolutions that would be on a regular work session would always be approve the bill list, but the bill list wasn't ready. And things that you knew that were coming, like camp refunds, raffle applications, outdoor seating, then everything else comes in later. A lot of the expenditure ones, it mentions that Susan certifies that the funding is available because it was part of a budget, whether it's an operating budget item or a capital budget item. Other things, whether it's like professional services, contracts, we have to wait until I receive the pay-to-play documents by X amount of time. So what used to be in the old format of 7 years ago, what would be seen in the work session would be 3 or 4 resolutions, and then at the regular meeting is those 3 or 4 resolutions plus all 15, 16 new ones that were seen at that same time. That was the format. So one way or another, the governing body sees the full resolutions at the regular meeting, not beforehand. The only things that come beforehand is like this discussion held about the liquor licenses, that there will be a draft to consider and then place. But everything else falls on a routine basis, and it's usually refunds or expenditures based on approvals on a voted budget of that year or the prior year. Lauren has her hand.
Lauren, you have your hand up?
And Dan, and then Susan.
Look, I think the theme, and Vinny and I have both been discussing this for years, is that the council, number one, doesn't have enough time to flesh out a lot of our discussions and debates. And number two, we really don't have enough time to prepare for the meetings. And the work sessions are so essential for us to do this work on these resolutions and ask our questions, and they take a while. And I understand his point. We need to get whatever we can earlier. And then if a few last minute things come in, at least we've seen the majority of what will be discussed within those 2 weeks. But it really, having it the Thursday before the Tuesday meeting, it's just inadequate. Considering for 2 days, the staff that we need to support us and give us questions isn't there. It doesn't give us a lot of time to discuss amongst ourselves any questions we had or find out more information or research. So we need a solution, and maybe, the separate work session isn't it, but this is an ongoing discussion and we haven't solved it yet.
Right, I mean,
The other
this,
thing I would say is, when you have a work session solution and then a half hour later, you're voting on it, you don't have the ability to research enough and to undo if necessary, something that is problematic, so things will be delayed and to another, we should have the initial resolution that we can read through won't be able to delay, and we should be aware of what it is and why. But if we can delay, we should be told, you know, during the meeting, the follow-up meeting, we vote on it.
You know, I understand the topic, but, you know, Borough Hall has business for 8 hours every single day, 5 days a week. And I'm not sure how we would, I get on large projects and larger issues that they take multiple council meetings for us to reasonably work through them. But when we have normal business like escrow refunds, camp refunds, all this sort of business, estimated property tax bills, you know, in other words, what's there to discuss. There's always something to discuss and question and to authorize. But if we don't do the business, when are we gonna get it done? And what kind of schedule, like how many weeks do we need to authorize a tree refund for someone who planted a tree? Jeff?
That's not what we're talking about.
But that's in the that's the majority of the resolutions. Go ahead, Jeff.
So my question is, and this is more for Lizette and maybe even Anthony from a legal point of view. We have a bunch of items that are in the consent agenda, and we vote on that in an omnibus fashion. Does every resolution need to be in the consent agenda, or can we break it out so that those standard items that are the business items, the refunds and all that, those go in the consent agenda, and then we have other resolutions which may require more discussion that are separate and apart, just following or proceeding. I thought I've seen that with boards of education, for example.
It says on the consent agenda, these are routine matters, and it says, should discussion be desired, that new item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered separately under new business later on the agenda. So that's, with the work session, let's say instead of these, 10 resolutions, there are more, and there's some that are debatable, that there's some questions, there's some background information that may have not been clear or arrived last minute. You could always say in the work session, hey, is there consent of pulling, I'm just throwing it out there, R2191 from the consent agenda and moving to new business? And that has been done, and some resolutions have been pulled, others have been found to have some type of conflict between the whereas clauses and then brought back to another meeting. So that's a process that is available to the governing body, if that addresses your question.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm not sure that exactly was what I was asking, but it's a solution. I'm really asking, does everything need to be in an omnibus? We consent to all these items, because I thought I have seen other bodies, especially boards of ed, that have a whole bunch of the standard stuff in the consent agenda, and then separate resolutions for items that might require more discussion and might have to be discussed at more than one meeting. That was my question, because if we could do that, I think that really gets to what Councilman Dunham is.
Anthony, do you want to address that?
Yes.
Anthony?
Wait, he's muted, he has to unmute.
Anthony, you have to unmute.
Yeah, so what was said indicated in terms of having the ability to remove items from the consent agenda is appropriate and is done in other municipalities. To answer your question directly, Councilman Grossman, yes, we don't need to include every single resolution on the consent agenda up front. We can certainly, work towards separating out less perfunctory or ministerial type resolutions, separating those out from the consent agenda at the get-go. That's certainly an option as well. But the borough always has the option before voting on all of the resolutions that are set forth in the consent agenda, like Lisette said, to remove certain resolutions from that list. I hope that answers your question.
Lauren?
Thank you.
Lauren?
Anthony, does that mean we don't vote, or that means we vote beforehand? Or vote separately? I'm not clear what you mean when you say separate out.
Yeah, you you remove it from the consent agenda, you discuss that resolution specifically, and then you could vote on it separately, separate from the, group vote on all the resolutions that are set forth in the consent agenda.
Doesn't that make things longer?
Well, we have done that in the past. The council has the freedom to pull resolutions, if they choose. Vanu?
Yeah, we've done this in the past, that's not a mystery. But what happens is it's much more of a hurdle to pull something out when something is part of an omnibus than to, just from the big thing separated out. That's all.
Okay, so,
Let me see if anyone has any. It's just Dan and Susan, I don't know.
any other questions?
Can we
Go ahead, Lauren.
receive our agenda at least the Tuesday before the Tuesday? Let
We,
me just tell you why. We have most of the council people, except for me, who work throughout the day. When I call the borough at 4:30, by the time my kids are home and everything's done, nobody's there to answer my questions. I'm sending numerous emails in the evening, and I have to wait another 24 hours. So now I've had one less day to work on things. I'm constantly sending things on Monday night, asking for more information as I think about it over the weekend and delve through things. And then I flood Monday with our professionals with emails and requests, which isn't really fair. It's not fair to me. I don't have time to digest. It's not fair to the working people in our council who are not able to call into the borough throughout the 5 days of the week from 9 to 4.
well,
So
what'll happen is this simply gonna take longer to get business done. You won't, I mean, that's,
I disagree. If we got it on Tuesday and we're able to ask our questions, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Monday, that gives me 5 days to ask questions and get through all the issues. I'd ask a lot less questions at this table, and I'd have more decisive information.
but what will happen is, agreed, you'll have it for a longer period of time, but there'll be a certain amount of information. In other words, if you get that on Tuesday morning, all the business that gets conducted on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday will not be included in the next council meeting, and we'll have to wait for another 2 weeks.
So let's talk about grants, projects, engineering. Let's make categories then. I don't need, a tree refund. I'm not worried about that. That kind of ministerial stuff, I'm not worried about unless, there's some issue that we need to raise. Most
Well,
of that
it
stuff,
just, I mean, we can,
we don't need that.
we can have an offline conversation about delivering multiple sets of reports to the council. It's just simply gonna take bodies or time to do it. It's not gonna happen out of thin air. But I understand what you're saying.
The administrator's report, the engineering report, and any resolutions that are for projects should come to us the Tuesday before the Tuesday meeting. That's my request.
Okay.
Anyone else have an issue? Or-
I think you have functional issues that are gonna happen there, but go ahead, Jeff. Jeff?
I'm unmuting myself. So to Lauren's point, and being a working teacher, I'm affected by this, but to her point, the notification we got for the agenda for this meeting, I just checked my email, was 6:21 Friday that the agenda has been posted. So it's almost going in the wrong direction. We had wanted it a little earlier. That's after the close of business. So that really leaves us Monday and part of Tuesday
To get your questions
make
answered.
calls, get answers. That's all.
Okay, so we will have a conversation about here what we can do, on that. Okay, we'll come back with more information.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Can I get a motion to close the work session?
I'm sorry, I have one more for the good of the order. And actually, when Vinny said that, I realized I forgot.
Almost there.
I was approached today by a doctor, one of the hospitals, an ER doc, who happens to be a Tenafly resident, who has a program, and Mark, I have to send you all the information.
Yeah.
Possibly have Roche antibody testing here in Tenafly. So I'm gonna get all the information, I'm gonna send it in, but I'd like, when I send it in, to circulate it to the council for consideration.
Yeah.
Anyone interested?
Well, no, I mean, so I'm just gonna respond first. Definitely send it in because, we have meetings every morning at 10:30, talking about all kinds of COVID-related stuff. And one of the things is we're searching for someone to partner with us here in Tenafly for testing, so send me the information as soon as you can, please, and we'll put them in the mix.
It's from Dr. Andrew Chertoff, the test is from Roche, it's a private group, you would bill health insurance, the uninsured would be paid by the town, from what I understand. We can limit the testing to Tenafly residents if we would like.
Okay,
That's the details, I'm
yeah.
getting all the paperwork, and I will get it in for you for the morning.
And then we can go through the process of vetting that. Okay. All right. Can I have a motion to close? Julie?
Just a super quick question. People in town have been asking about these meetings. Are they able to see this right now or no? Because I wasn't sure because, all right, go ahead, Linda. Tell
If
me what's
somebody sends me an email wanting to participate, like Mr. Till, they receive the invite and then they log in and can see council. Anybody else, if a person doesn't send me a request to be on the meeting invite and just want me to read their comments into the record, they're only watching on channel 77. So to see like the Brady Bunch screen of everybody's faces interacting with one another, you have to sign up, like send me an email and I email the invite and then they click onto their calendar and log on just like everyone else.
Lauren?
I don't think that they're seeing it on channel 77 because I think perhaps it's something to do with the people at the high school aren't posting it because they're not around, but they're not seeing these meetings. But that's what I'm getting.
Oh, the live stream?
That's news to us then.
Is it played after?
This is supposed to be live stream.
I know this is live stream, but I don't know if they put it on the loop.
Yeah, so our understanding is it's live stream. If you're saying there's a technical problem, then we're gonna ask about that.
I'm just not sure
What?
it makes it onto channel 77 for its multiple replays. Go ahead, Lauren, you've got something to say.
Go ahead, Lauren.
No, Julie, I was gonna say I completely agree. I haven't seen it once on 77 and I've been looking to make sure. So thank you for bringing that up.
We'll check that out.
The second thing is, can we, this is the first I'm hearing that someone has to email the BA. Can we just post the Zoom meeting information on the webpage and say, if you want to join our meeting, this is the code? It's a public meeting.
Yeah, how are we announcing the public meetings?
The public meetings are announced so that way we know who is on, who's participating. They send an email. Other municipalities are doing a whole bunch of different ways, but there are many like ours are saying email.
How do they know to email? Like, how do these three
That
people?
seems very restrictive.
Wait, let me just ask, let me ask this one question to help clarify it. How did they know to
It's on the
email?
website.
So it is on the website.
It's on the website, and then when the agenda's posted, there's a header that has that information, but on the website, there's the important coronavirus updates, and then the next tier, it says public comment for meetings, and I put it meeting by meeting because I don't know how long this is going to
Right.
occur. So it's like to participate in the main meetings, this is what you do, and by 6 o'clock, I check my emails from home. I've gotten emails like at 5:30, I want to jump in and participate, I just send the meeting invite.
Okay.
And some people just say, I can't participate, but please read my comment in the record.
So it is on the website, the information there, and Lauren, you're next. It's on the website, and people are, like today, we got 3 different communications from people on this issue, but go ahead.
And the code changes each meeting,
Okay.
the access code.
Go ahead, Lauren.
I feel that many of our residents are not checking our website on a regular basis to receive that type of information. I feel like we should promulgate this somewhere else in the public. Maybe, I know we don't have social media yet, but we need to let our residents know that this is how this is how we are.
Well, if you want, I could do a message to the community for the next meeting.
Yes, please, that would be excellent.
I could do that, sure.
But again, back to that channel 77 issue though, because that's part of it, but a lot of people like to watch the meetings, and I don't have channel 77 because I have like a streaming service for my TV, so I just, I we make sure we follow up on that, because I'm not sure it's getting posted, but Lauren actually has Channel 76, she can confirm that. But, people are not seeing the meetings, that's the feedback I'm getting.
Okay.
So,
Anthony, go ahead.
yeah, so in another municipality where I serve as borough attorney, what we do there is we stream the meetings live on YouTube Live. I don't know if we have that capability, but we actually put that in our public notice so that each time we
That's
notice a new
interesting.
meeting, the public is on, on notice of the fact that all they have to do is click on a link or insert the link on their webpage. For instance, if they don't have a requisite channel that the stream is also on cable, and they can just go on to YouTube Live and watch the meeting from their computer. My understanding
There it
is
is.
that this meeting is also being played live. There's a Tenafly Twitter page
Yes.
where this is being played, but you only see the mayor, Omar, at Borough Hall in the chambers. You're not seeing everyone else. So one way of doing it is to host it on YouTube. It's the easiest way to do it, and put that in the notice. Because that, at the end of the day, that'll satisfy the open meeting act.
And the Twitter feed is posted on the website. But go ahead. Any other questions? Thank you, Anthony. No other questions? Okay.
I don't see Mark or Omar. Does anyone else?
No, because we're sharing screens here. Like I can see you, Lauren.
Okay.
All right. Okay, so can I have a motion to adjourn the work session, please?
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Okay, we'll go right into the, into the public meeting. In compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act, PL 1975, Chapter 231, the notice requirements have been satisfied. Meeting dates for the year are confirmed at the annual meeting, are posted on the public bulletin board in the lobby of the Municipal Center, and published in the record within the first 10 days of the new year. Copies of all revised or additional meeting notices are sent via fax to the Record, the Suburbanite, and Northern Valley Press, and are posted on the public bulletin board in the lobby of the Municipal Center. Salute to the flag, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
With liberty and justice for all.
Omar, could I have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Dayton.
Councilmember Dayton?
Here.
Here.
I can't hear Omar,
Okay,
sorry.
it's all right.
Councilmember Grossman.
Councilmember Grossman? Here.
Councilmember Menon.
Omar is impossible to hear.
Councilman Menon?
Here.
Councilmember Michaels.
Michaels?
Present.
Councilmember O'Connor.
O'Connor?
Councilmember Park.
Park?
Mayor Zenna.
Here. Okay, do we have to get a motion for the minutes?
Yes.
Can I get a motion for approval of the minutes for May 5th, please, 2020 work session?
Motion to approve.
I'll second, but there's a lot of typos that need cleaning up in those minutes.
Yeah.
It's really,
You have that, Omar?
cannot go out that way.
Okay, typos will be repaired.
I will say,
Do we get it all in favor?
that's right, I just wanted to
What?
say thank you. So
So-
yes, there's opportunities for
No,
improvement,
I
but
had a second,
I'm
and
so
you all in favor.
appreciative
Did you get a second?
of the deputy clerk. I believe we put it together, so just a big thank you. Again, work to do, but huge thank you to Omar for putting it together.
Okay, thank you. Revisions to the agenda?
Yes, there's one resolution being added to the consent agenda, resolution number R 20-199.
Okay. The public comments.
There are members of the public on, I know
Andrew
Andrew
Till
Till
is
had a
here?
question, yes.
Mr. Andrew Till,
Am I off mute? Can everyone hear me?
everyone can hear you, just state your name and your address for the record, then go ahead, please.
Andrew Till, 124 Oxford Drive.
You're good. Good to go.
All right, so I just want to let everyone know that, just a few things. Number one, I think Councilman, Michaels kept you updated, but we're day 32 today of Tenafly Cares. We have raised, thank you to my $40 donation during this meeting, over $70,000. Initial
Very nice.
initial target was 30. Now, just to be clear, so I don't put anyone in this meeting into a tailspin, that raise is, that's a combination of cash raise through GoFundMe. That's a combination of a direct donations. One very large one, came from one of the liquor stores in town. And just as you're talking about liquor licenses, they're selling a lot of booze and they're giving it back. So, as well as restaurants that some of them who are doing pretty well in this time are keeping it together and who have donated the meals. So in an aggregate, it's been overwhelming. People wanting to help, and people are extremely appreciative. We serve every day, and I know the restaurants as well. And I want to thank Susan and the team as well for I could tell that this interim bill list is a sticking point, but as Councilman Dayton asked, but restaurants are so appreciative just to have this additional cash flow. It's unbelievable. I mean, Councilman Michaels and I walked into Polly's Pizza today, and they had just reopened 2 weeks ago. And the guy was so excited. One of the owners was so excited to be part of it. He's putting together each pizza box, the to-go box with wet towelettes and little bottles of water, and just to support the community, to feed as well as making money. And we're just happy that it's hitting. So I think what's really important, I want all of you to know, one is specific to this and then one is a general comment, is although one of the councilmen pointed out this is a private entity, that the ability to show people, voters, that private and public partnerships work, okay, is very important because people see the support. They see that everyone wants help in this time of need, which is, as I think Councilwoman Dayton said, this is an emergency, right? I mean, and so we're wrapping up, but it's great for people to see. I think what's also great, and I think you guys, all of you, as lawmakers or what politicians, is people in town are finally seeing transparency. And I just want you guys to just feedback from people who I speak to, people who we pulled together to vote for Mayor Zinna. They're finally seeing what is happening in town. They're seeing results. It's not only about Tenafly Cares. It's about the roads being paved. It's about a lot of things. It's about just trying new things, testing new things, and being progressive. So I really applaud all of you for the transparency, because this is really the first time in, I don't know how long was the last mayor here, 30 years or whatever he was there, okay, that people are getting to see the town in action, and doing that, and again, appreciate the public-private working together, because it's important. It's being for any of the headaches it's causing anyone, it's being noticed, it's appreciated, and we're really helping people. So I'll leave it at that.
Andrew, I mean, thank you for all the work you've done on this, frankly, and all the people you've fed through the entire process. It's very, very commendable, and we all recognize it.
Thank you. And look, I hope that So this whole COVID will be a post-COVID world, however that vaccine or non-vaccine, but it's going to change things, but we're going to make things that not just helping people in the short term, but helping in the long term, and seeing downtown bloom, support it, and they're spending more time in Tenafly, right? They're not going anywhere right now. We're really showing people are, they're just seeing it, Mayor, through your Facebook posts, which a lot of people are seeing, really appreciate it, and just everyone being out there and having, as I said, having transparency. But look, they're seeing Suez replace replace the water line. They're just whether direct or indirect to the mayor and council, they're just seeing progress. They're here in town and they're not going anywhere. So it's the right time for all of you to show that Fly is changing, and that was what people voted for. So I commend all of you. So thank you.
Julie?
Mr. Till, if someone wants to give through the GoFundMe page, is that tax deductible?
I don't think they issue like a,
It's not, Mark, it's not.
Yeah.
It's not tax deductible, no.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like, we're not like a 501c3 or,
Right.
profit, so.
I just said it, and yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Andrew, for your comments and your hard work. I think Lauren has a comment.
See you all soon.
Okay, Andrew, thank you.
Thank you.
Lauren?
Can I just add something to Andrew?
Sure.
I, of course, want to say thank you to Andrew and Adam and the whole team, but I also want to acknowledge Mark Aronson, who...
Oh, please, I'm sorry. You know what? You're
No,
absolutely
that's okay. All of you are doing the work, and as I told Adam, I haven't been visiting lots of people, but thank you for doing it. And, Mark is single-handedly making enormous amounts of deliveries, so thank you to him as well.
I want to just point out about him. Every day at 4:15, you think the guy driving around robbing banks. It's just Mark wearing a full face covering. No banks have been robbed. He's just hitting every house, and he's protecting himself. But I mean, Adam and I saw him come watching today, and we said, "Is that Mark?" I said, "I don't know. The alarm's going off, so I guess so."
Well, thank you all.
Thank you for mentioning that, because he is unbelievable.
All of you, above and beyond. Thank you all.
All right, thank you, Andrew, thank you. Do we have other public comments here, or do you want to read the three we have? Who do we have live?
Max has his hand up.
Max has a comment.
Max, just state your name and address for the record, please.
Max and Christine.
Max, late night, no, Avenue, and for the record, the reason I was making a comment today is because I hear the same issues there were on the agenda years and years ago, and we solved them coming back out today. Decided a long time ago that specifically during the summer months, all the items, all these bills and everything are going to be on days before the Fridays of Wednesday, because it's only one during the summer and only one evening, and have more time. And what I hear now that we kind of got back to the old habits of having the agenda, the bills and everything coming up at that moment where most of the people do not have a chance to listen and really be able to study. We were able to do that a year ago and 2 years ago. I cannot understand why all of a sudden there's a problem now. And that's pretty much what
Is he talking about the timing?
I think so. but
Okay,
we're on a
all right,
Skype.
thank you, Max. Christine,
I have a question.
your name and address for the record, please.
Christine Evron, 39 Leroy Street, and Chamber
of Commerce president in Tenafly. I had a couple things. 22 people are coming in on the library media feed, watching you. I checked that earlier during the work session. I don't know if they are rebroadcasting it, but they are certainly streaming live. On the work sessions, you used to have an administrator's report. Are you getting that in writing and just not giving it to the public any longer? And back now to my Chamber of Commerce things. Thank you very much for Tenafly Cares. Business is appreciated a lot. Some of the businesses that donated an extra day of meals, they are from their customers who are supporting that particular business. I just like to thank those customers.
Nothing to report tonight.
And everybody gives how they like to. Is there any way to say, we know we are spending $1,000 or $1,300 2 weeks from now to deliver meals to somebody or from this restaurant and pre-cut the checks and just not hand it to them if they, for some reason, don't deliver them? Is there any pre-planning that can go on this?
So just to make a couple of, I'm going to respond to a couple of the comments there. We do still do administrators report. There is not one this week because there was nothing of consequence to report. That's the only reason there isn't one this week. I am not the CFO, but I'm going to go on a limb here and say that the borough cannot cut checks for services that not have been delivered, let alone invoiced or ordered. But we hear the pain of paying the restaurants, and we're sensitive to that. And you know, as we discussed during the work session, we'll address that a little bit.
And Mary and the team just are doing a great job. They're really quick, so it is a lot of documentation. So every day when you get a new restaurant, I have to get the invoice, I have to get the documentation I get from the school board and from Michelle in the senior center that these are exactly the people that we provide the meals to. We put those pages together, put that in. Mary turns it around really quickly, but you have to have all the documentation. I have literally a binder full. Actually, I think Mark gave me the binder of every single day that we've sold a meal, that we've given out a meal. So yeah, you need the documentation.
Okay, all right. No, I didn't want to not have the documentation. Just was, we know, sort of, if we could make a prepayment on it of an estimated amount. I did have two Chamber of Commerce things on the liquor, one on the liquor licenses. Actually, pre-planning was one. Liquor licenses. Everybody is very excited. What seems like a very small amount to the borough budget is a huge amount to the restaurants. And I know that one of our wine liquor stores has been able to donate towards Tenafly Cares. That's not true of our other one. And in fact, Fine Wines, I'm sure, has also lost about 25% of their business. This is hurting everybody, and anything you can possibly do would be greatly appreciated.
Okay, thank you, Christine.
For the restaurants and the liquor stores. Thank you.
Okay, any other members of the public want to comment?
I have Max raising his hand.
Max Bash, you're back up at the podium. Identify yourself again.
I apologize for coming back with a question. In the past, when we had documents that people can take a look on the agenda, basically the resolutions and everything like that. That type of information is not available today for somebody like me who's trying to understand what is going on. Please, as a council, and provide
On the agenda is posted, like when a regular meeting is held, the resolutions are on the table. Only resolutions and ordinances being heard.
But the resolutions aren't posted now because of the situation we're in.
and especially within all
Everything, administrative report, resolutions.
would be very helpful.
Okay, thank you, Max.
You know, that also has to go with what we say about communicating to our public. You know, we've discussed this amongst ourselves about having a topic list of things that we will be discussing for future meetings so people will know, oh, the dog park is on the agenda, the swim club is on the agenda. You know, in broad terms, maybe we can create something like that.
Isn't that the agenda, though?
It's very, difficult to discern if something's involved in them. Most people aren't gonna read through all the wording of the resolutions to find out what's happening.
Okay, all right. We have 3 other emails from residents have commented. They sent us emails today
Yes.
to be read into the record tonight. Lizette's going to do that, please.
Yes, the first one is from Anna, and I'm sorry if I butcher your last name, Korayani from 26 Royden Road. She wrote, please do not yield to pressure citing other municipalities' open tennis courts. Rather, err on the side of caution than have to reinstate restrictions if COVID-19, meaning 19, infections increase. Rely on local experts and the relevant health statistics, not on outside advocates. The second email is from Dave Moyer, didn't provide an address. While there are a lot of valid reasons for and against opening up tennis courts, I fully support opening the courts in accordance to the bill passed May 2nd for passive sports play. Multiple towns and private clubs follow golf in this reopening, and Tenafly residents can make the decision as well. And the last one is from Alexander Parlamis of Axia Taverna. I do appreciate you sharing the content of this email at the virtual mayor and council meeting scheduled for this evening. As a partner of 29 Prime Numbers LLC, doing business as Axia Taverna, we would be a strong advocate of the Borough of Tenafly offering some relief to plenary retail consumption license holders similar to Axia Taverna for the following reasons. 1. All of our sales associated with this license are for in-house dining customers, which we have been unable to service due to the pandemic and the current executive orders in the place from our government and local agencies. 2. Unlike liquor stores, packaged good establishments, which have seen a surge in alcohol sales of recent, we have seen the exact opposite and are experiencing aging inventory. 3. The pandemic has created a major disruption to our business model, and we continue to open our doors daily at a great loss in the interest of providing an essential service to our community, to our frontline workers, which we have supported in a charitable way on numerous occasions, and to protect the welfare of our employees. 4. While certain laws have recently been enacted to change some of the regulation with regard to the sale of cocktails for off-premise consumption, we have been unable to capitalize on this and do not see this as a realistic way to recoup any fees associated with annual renewal to the borough. In light of these uncertain times and the scarcity of customers, which will likely be our reality once some of the restrictions ease on restaurants, we would ask that the Borough of Tenafly change the policy with regard to the fee associated with the plenary retail consumption licenses, as we have been unable to use our license as intended. We would be very appreciative of any relief that can be extended to our business or any other license holders suffering from similar circumstances outside of our control.
Anything else?
Nope, those are
Any other members of the public there?
No.
No, okay. No further members of the public. We're going to close public comment time. And can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as amended?
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
Can I just, I'm just gonna abstain, can I just abstain from Point I? Is that possible?
When Omar does the roll call and it's your turn to vote, you would just say yes with an abstention on whatever the number is,
196.
to 196.
Okay, Omar, can you call the roll, please?
Sure. Councilmember Dayton?
Yes, on all.
Councilmember Grossman?
Yes.
Councilmember Menon?
Yes, as amended.
Councilmember Michaels?
Yes, with abstaining for point R2196.
Councilmember O'Connor?
Yes.
Councilmember Park?
Okay. Committee reports. Lauren, why don't we go with you first, please?
Sure. So the Nature Center had an event this past weekend. I know some of you guys participated, called Brunch with the Birds. I want to give a huge shout out to Shake, Rattle, and Roll and Mark Wisner, who's a Tenafly resident, and to Deborah Davidson and her team over at the Nature Center. They had actually actually brought up dueling pianos to the nature center. They brought out the animals. They got some great donations. I don't think they reached what they were hoping, but it was still a good event. Those who participated also supported our downtown businesses because we picked up brunch from various businesses that offered a brunch box. So thank you to all of those businesses and to all of our residents who participated. If anyone is interested, the Tenafly Nature Center, is lacking its educational programming at this time and is always looking for some donations to help it continue to run, especially over the summer. They have no word yet on whether their camp can open. We're waiting to hear about that. The other committee reports, Pride Day committee met, and if Max Bash is still on the phone, he's part of that committee. We are hoping to still celebrate the month of June as our Pride Month. We will have the DPW put up the rainbow flags throughout our town, and we will have a virtual flag raising. We are finalizing the date on this, but it will be a small gathering of the Pride Committee, socially spaced in town, and we will virtually stream it for everyone else who wants to participate. We will not be having any sort of parade in June for Pride Day. We hope that we can have a fall event, and we're working with the borough to establish a date. If anybody would like to participate in any meaningful way in our Pride Day flag raising, please let us know. We are also going to be doing a fundraiser for Pride Day with some t-shirts for Tenafly that say 07670 in rainbow. And so we hope to acknowledge and celebrate Pride even virtually. Let's see what else. Northern Valley Greenway met, and they're still looking for ambassadors and people to help social media and to get the word out on the Greenway. The project is still underway, and so we're very thankful for that. And even more so now that Northern Valley Greenway would be an amazing thing for our community to get out for biking and walking and riding. So if somebody is on the fence or really against that project, please put them in touch with me so I can convince them otherwise. I think it's a fantastic idea. Let's see what else. Fire, thank you to our firemen for the various birthday visits. Thank you to our TVAC for the incredible job you're doing. Thank you to our police and first responders. We can't say thank you enough. I'm liaison for those, and I just want to say thank you a million times over. And of course, it is EMS week, so thank you, Mark, for acknowledging that in the proclamation in the beginning of our meeting. And that's my committee reports.
Thank you, Lauren. Vanu?
Just the senior center board met virtually, and the only other one there this time was the election for a board, and they voted in 4 new people, and then 1 to replace somebody who had stepped down for and had a remaining term of 1 year.
Okay. Thank you. Anything else?
No, that's it.
Oh, okay. Julie?
Yes, just a little update with the census committee. Dan and I finalized the sign tonight, the sign design. We're gonna get some signs up in town to remind people to complete the census. Dan, at the very latest, I removed the dollar signs like we discussed. Cool. Found out that this company was a vendor for our town. So let's, and/or Susan, just tell me, is there anything I need to ask our fellow council people as far as it's gonna be about $175, and I didn't know if that's something I should, future agenda, or is that, do we have
The
that ability
expenditure.
to pay it out when we're doing it?
We must go.
I would just,
Go ahead, Julie. Lizette's going to speak.
yeah,
Go.
I would just need to find the account to charge it to. It would probably be under, since there isn't a census committee, probably under celebration of events, since the census is a decennial event. And then that purchase order goes on the bill list, so the governing body approves it once it's on the bill list.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think that'll be happening as of tomorrow, because we decided on the design,
Yeah,
and I think we'll ask for a return rate.
Yeah, I just need to find out the logistics of, who to send the PO to and how to process it, if there's a PO capability on the website. I know the Stigma-Free Committee has a pending PO with, that signed company, so, it's just a matter of doing legwork now that the language has been approved.
And so Julie,
When I send you the design, that last final design, you're able to take it from there, or do
I
I
see you,
have
Vanu.
to resend that? Or like you're able to contact them with that design, correct?
I will try. If anything, if the site doesn't let me work with it, but I get a contact person, I'll just, save that as a screenshot and send it over to them. I'll figure a way to make it work.
Thank you very much.
Anything else, Julie?
No, that's about it.
Okay, Vanu, you had,
Environmental committee is meeting this Thursday, so I have no other committees to discuss.
okay, thank you. Vanu, you had a question?
Yeah, just a quick question for Julie, or maybe Susan if she's still listening. Isn't there a line item for the census, or is it only for elections?
It's a question for you.
There's no specific line item for census, but, I mean, there's elections in there, but not a specific line item for census.
Got it, okay.
Yeah, you can't
I
use
had a
that.
question for Julie.
Go ahead, Lauren.
Julie and Dan, both, are we getting stuff in different languages?
So the phone number, what we put on our actual website is a huge list of phone numbers for every language almost imaginable. So anyone could put over the phone in that language. Remember, with all the door-to-door work that's gonna happen after the self-return, on the sign, we were just placing the English phone number and the website, because really there's no other way for us to convey that at this point. Initially, we were gonna set up, it's gonna facilitate in the Korean Community Center, things like that, obviously, tailored to that population. For COVID, we haven't been able to do that type of outreach. But there's a language, phone number for every language.
Okay.
All right, Dan, anything to report?
As you said earlier in the meeting, it is EMS week, and HUVAC has been doing phenomenal work. They have 14 new students taking the class, the EMS class, so hopefully they graduate. They're still doing all the birthday parade runs, and unfortunately, they're still picking up people for protocol. And if you want to show support, you can actually place a blue ribbon around your tree or house.
Okay, good idea. Thank you. Anything else, Dan?
Nope, that was
Okay. Adam, please.
Yeah, it's been a busy 2 weeks, so a couple of quick things. Chamber, Christine spoke about, we had a good chamber meeting, lots of discussion around how businesses could open up. And it's beyond, obviously, just the restaurant. So we had the 2 yoga studios on there, and we were talking about if we're waiting for everything to truly come back the way it was, I think we're going to be waiting a long time. So, the big push that at least I proposed was, how do we get out? So, the yoga studio that's right across from Highland Park, could we do, could we box out 6 feet and have them work out there? So I'd love, your continued feedback on how do we get all the businesses downtown and around town to think a little bit differently and help them out, because it's going to take a while, particularly on some of the far out things like the gyms, et cetera. Movie theaters, what's going to happen? How do we get, I know a lot of people are talking about, the drive-in. Let's just think differently. If you just wait, okay, great, I'm gonna wait until the movie theater opens up exactly the way it was before, you're gonna be waiting a long time.
You're right.
So just great work that Christine continues to do on the chamber. Would love all of the council's help on how do we get the businesses going, because it's gonna end up helping us. Second thing, no need for me to talk about Tenafly Cares. We've spoken a lot about that, so that's great. Thank you for your help. The other thing was we're getting more restaurants, some new restaurants that at first were a little concerned or decided not to attend. Cactus Sushi was for the first time. Please let me know your favorite restaurants. Let's make sure they're all getting out there. I've called, Axia and at the 130 Club. T-bone steak for $10 would be great if they could pull that off. I will give them the $2,000 for the license money. So Tenafly Cares continues to be awesome. The rec board had a meeting on Monday as well. One thing we're going to talk about in closed session, but lots of questions around the camp opening. And I already spoke to the mayor. I just want to make sure that we're balancing two things. First and foremost, there's absolutely no exceptions to the health and well-being of our residents. But also in addition, however, lots of people, you want the enrichment. I feel personally, I see my kids, I wish they were in school more than what I'm seeing already. So we don't want to lose the enrichment. We know the summers are so important. So I know the mayor's going to help me and help the rec department make sure that as best we can safely open up recce's if we can. Let's do it. Let's do it transparently. And equally, if it's not the right thing to do, let's communicate that as well. So that was a big question that was discussed at the rec board, and they were seeking the council's counsel on, should this open or should this not type thing.
So just to comment on that, Adam, we're taking the position, we're not canceling anything until the last minute. In other words, if we have a program that's supposed to start on June 1st, we're not going to cancel that preemptively unless we absolutely really have to. And even with that, we would hope to delay the opening rather than cancel it. So to your point, we're keeping our plans in place rather than just canceling things when we wouldn't have had to potentially. And we understand the safety issues, and the directives coming out of the governor's office are giving us a lot of guidance on that. And, as we get within days from Memorial Day, we're waiting to hear about the pools, which affects recce's, which affects, with the schoolyards being available, that affects the recce's camp. So there are a lot of interlocking things that we're looking to balance so that we do have these enrichment programs.
Yep. So that's the rec board, so thank you, Mr. Mayor. Rec board, and then finally just downtown, our downtown committee continues to just do its work. Trying to help any way they can. Working in partnership with Christine, residents, you see stuff on Facebook. We are trying, there's no try. I will ensure that we have a plan in advance of the governor saying that we can start opening up some of these restaurants and businesses downtown. We want to put a plan in place such that we can come to the council, get the required approvals, but starting literally day one. So that's a priority for residents, for the downtown committee, for Christine on the chamber. So we'll be coming to you guys with stuff on that as well. Obviously in partnership with the Department of Health and our public safety professionals. So those are the four things that I have, Mr. Mayor, for updates.
Thank you very much. I think Lauren and then Julie have questions for you, Adam.
Adam, I have two things. One, you mentioned the drive-in movies. I've been in touch with 3 companies right now to see the costs and the availability of setting that up in Tenafly. And I was wondering maybe if this is something the downtown committee wants to take on.
Yeah, we'd love to. So Jamie Corsair. Yeah. Jamie Corsair, who's the co-chair of the downtown committee, has already been reaching out to some folks as well. If you can, I'm happy for you to give me the stuff, or if you reach out to Jamie directly, she's already been in conversations. Can we do it at the middle school? Can you do it somewhere closer to downtown so businesses can take advantage of it? As long as we do it safely. I don't know if you guys heard on Boozy Burbs or whatever it's called. There is a Bergen County. I think they're doing it in. It's Demarest Farms.
Yeah, I saw that.
They're opening up a drive-in. But yeah, let's do it locally. Again, this is our time to shine. This is when everyone folks is, this is our time to lean in and really do some great stuff and put Tenafly on the map of sorts. So yes.
The other thing I wanted to ask is, did the downtown committee discuss, possibly having more outdoor seating? Because I do want to have the restaurants, and I know Christine knows this, if they want sidewalk tables and, outdoor permits,
Yep.
let's get those going.
It's awesome. Literally, I spoke
Yeah.
to 6 businesses just today. Christina's reached out as well. I'm doing this in concert with everybody. Lots of excitement. The balance there is, yes, I would absolutely love, the table space. And actually, Andrew and I spoke, could Tenafly Cares help, provide the businesses if the businesses don't have the tables they need? It's a balance of having outdoor space, which all the restaurants love. Again, I just spoke to 6 stores just today, with the balance of, but I really need, we have to do a better health awareness thing in our town that you can actually walk more than one parking spot in front of the store you want to go to. So they want to make sure that the curbside pickup is available. So we came up with some, we're thinking about some creative ideas on how do you have a table and curbside pickup at the same time. So we're gonna have a heliport for folks as well. So yes, we're on that. And again, my commitment to you is I promise you, we will have a plan that goes before the committee or whoever the right folks are in advance of the governor saying go. We will be there the first day the governor says go.
Okay, great.
Amazing.
Julie, you have a question?
Yeah, well, it's more of a comment. It's just that with the plan, I just want to tell whoever's listening that, Plaza Pet Worlds, I go there for my dog's food, and they also do the delivery, and they said their business is really hurting because since all this started, people are using the online vendor, Chewy and whatever, and they deliver locally. And I think that, we just have to remember we have a really great
Absolutely.
Thank you, Julie.
and, just.
And the idea is when you bring the folks down, if they come down for dinner, guess what they're also down for? Oh my God, there's a table outside Plaza Pet World. Oh, my kid and my dog need a new chew toy. You could, I wouldn't have gone down, but I'm already sitting in Brasserie or Pizza Nova or wherever. Let me pick up a toy. So that's a win-win.
Is there any assistance available for Plaza Pet World? I mean, we did a lot for other businesses. Just wondering.
The PPP.
Yeah, and Christine's done a great job, and I think I updated you guys for the past more than a month now, for 2 months now. Christine has been bringing in guest speakers to help with the PPP, different banks and different folks. It's been helpful. From what I heard, a number of our local businesses have taken advantage of it, which is great. Not the easiest process in the world, but I know a number of them have raised their hand at the meeting on Monday and said that they've taken advantage of the PPP.
That's good.
Okay, thank you, Adam. Jeff?
All right, so picking up where Adam left off, basically, with the movies and all that, one of the things that met was Tenafly Presents. We are still going forward with the idea of the concerts. We have a sense that Highland Park may be a little tight and not good for social distancing if we're able to do concerts. So I talked to Bob Colbert about where are some other sites that he could bring in the showmobile, and we're looking into that. In particular,
What is the showmobile?
so the showmobile is this vehicle that we actually have in Tenafly. It's almost like a mobile stage.
That's cool, and we own that, or we have, yeah.
Not sure if we own it, co-own it.
But we have it, we have access to it in town. That's great.
We have access to it. And the thing is that a number of the acts that we had chosen for this year are local residents. So this is really important because we're talking about everybody who's hurting. A lot of musicians are really hurting because all the performances have been cut off. And we are really hoping that we'll figure out a way to go forward and allow them to perform, get some notoriety, and make some money doing this. So, anyway, that's Tenafly Presents. That's fine. We had also talked about the idea of maybe recycling trucks, which is gonna really be a big help in terms of freeing up a lot of staff who will then be able to do other work that we need, like more road work and work in our parks and beautification of our town. So that's pretty critical, and I thank everybody for their help on that. Next, the planning board did meet. It was more of a trial meeting. It wasn't what I would call much of a business meeting, but we do have something on the agenda for a week from tomorrow, and we are looking forward to also continuing with the Bottle King application, getting that back on track. So the planning board is now WebEx educated and ready and raring to go, and the only thing they're still working out is some of the sharing of the documents, and that's going to be
Jeff, I had a question on that. I got a call from a resident actually this week asking me if there was like a hiatus or a lull in pool permits. They're interested in a pool. Do you know if there's like a lag, or can they submit and do the paperwork?
They can submit. I mean, that's buildings department. Buildings department is working.
Okay, and Board of Adjustments and Planning, they're up and running.
They're
They
all,
are up and running.
they are up, everything is up and running.
So I'd confirm that with everybody
Yeah.
publicly.
All right, so let's see, and I lost track.
Sorry.
Yes, no problem, that's fine. Next is the historic preservation, and I have to thank, we had a meeting to try and get the monument, the Roosevelt Monument, on track, because that's part of beautification again of downtown, preserving that monument. Also work towards lighting on the train station, since that's really one of those things we've talked about, is highlighting when you come into Tenafly, you don't want to see something tired looking and lighting that looked like it was strung up for Christmas 50 years ago. We want it to look very high-tech, sharp, and so we're trying to figure out ways to continue with that. A lot of thanks to not only Susan, Lizette, and also over at Mazer, who's been working with the state SHPO, that's the State Historic Preservation Office, to try and keep things moving. But the biggest thanks to Karen News, who has just been, as chair of HPC, bending over backwards to try and keep the process moving, and that's as a volunteer. She's done a yeoman job. Finally, with respect to HPC, this goes to them as well, because it came up there. This Monday already? Yep. This Monday is Memorial Day. We are not going to be holding a parade, the same as we're not going to be holding parades for Pride or anything else at this point. However, there is going to be a ceremony. It is going to be limited in number with appropriate social distancing. It's going to include national anthem, some comments from a master of ceremonies, laying of wreaths by different groups at different times. There's 10-minute intervals. And what else on that? I am going to need help from the borough. Going to need some help in terms of how to stream that and upload it to the borough. That's going to be the big thing. I did reach out to the board, did not hear from them. So that's my report.
Jeff, why don't we have a conversation about that offline tomorrow?
Yeah.
We should probably do that sooner than later.
Yeah, we're running out of time.
We're running out of time, yeah. Yeah, we don't want to do this Sunday night.
Everything else is set. I'm sorry?
I said we don't want to do that Sunday night.
No. Otherwise, I think that's all I have to report. Oh, the last thing I did want to add, even though they didn't meet, I do want to continue to remind the public these are trying times, and we have posted on the borough website from Stigma Free, and Stigma Free's Facebook page has a lot of wonderful resources, and there are some phone numbers, so if you're feeling totally stressed, depressed, if you're running into personal problems, please use those resources, make the calls. There's a lot of helplines out there. That's
Okay, Jeff, thank you very much. Okay, moving on to the public hearings.
I'm so sorry, I forgot to mention something.
Go ahead.
For the Nature Center, and, I wanted to catch everybody up. Deborah Davison, Andrew McKesh, our new attorney Anthony and I had a call about Fister's Pond. We received, I'm not sure everybody knows this, but the Nature Center received a response from Montami about the use of the access road. And we, need to hammer out a lot of the details, and our borough attorney is gonna assist us with a response letter. So I just wanted to let you know that that occurred, and, that's, I'll give you an update when we hear back.
Okay,
Anthony, anything you wanna add to that?
No, thank you, Lauren. It's in the works. We're gonna be reaching out, and as soon as I have an update, I'll provide it to the council.
okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Public hearings, ordinance 2008. Omar, do you want to read the confirmation of publication and title?
Ordinance number 20-08, an ordinance of the Borough of Tenafly and the County of Bergen, New Jersey, appropriating $16,000 for a security system at the Borough Hall.
Is there any public comment from the public on this ordinance? Nothing? No one out there? Dan, would you like to make the motion on this one, please?
Sure. Hold on, it's loading.
Go ahead.
I move to pass and adopt on second and final reading ordinance 20-08, and that notice the same shall be published according to law.
Could I have a second, please?
I second.
And this one, a roll call. And a roll call, please.
Councilmember Dayton,
Councilmember Dayton?
Lauren?
I lost myself.
Okay.
Hi, you got me back?
Yeah, so
Yes.
she said yes. Okay.
Councilmember Grossman,
Yes.
Councilmember Menon,
Yes.
Councilmember Michaels,
Yes.
Councilmember O'Connor,
Yes.
Councilmember Park.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So are we, Anthony, are we pulling 2009 and 2010?
No, Mayor, I believe we're gonna leave those on just for the,
Okay, all right. That's,
just in case we need it in the future.
that's fine. Councilman Michaels, hold on.
We had to amend the 2020 capital budget.
Isn't that after that?
The ordinances are introduced first and
Right.
then amending the capital budget.
So we have to do 2009 first and 2010.
Okay.
Okay. Adam, would you like to make a motion on this, please?
Yes, please. I move to introduce and pass on first reading ordinances 20-09 and 20-10, set the hearing for June 9th, 2020 at 8 p.m. or as soon thereafter in the Tenafly Municipal Center.
Could I have a second, please?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Let's read into the record.
Go ahead, sorry.
Ordinance number 20-09.
Wait, time out.
Dan has a question.
Dan, you have a question?
Yes, on the 20-10.
The salary ordinance?
Should the two titles be separate lines? Since they're two different titles.
Where are you reading? Where are you?
The very first line under full-time director or superintendent.
It was, who's there?
It's capital budget, so I don't have it. Yeah, Anthony, do you have that in front of you?
I'm trying to bring it up,
Okay.
unfortunately.
I know the technology, take your time, everyone. We're doing the same here.
Just bear with me.
Go ahead, take your time. So, right, it says director or superintendent. Go ahead.
So what I have here, what am I looking at? 20-10?
Yep.
Yes.
The very first line on the full-time, it says director or superintendent. Should those be two separate lines because they're two separate titles?
No, because the salary range is going to be the same with respect to both positions, to the extent that we needed a superintendent position. So no, I'm sorry for the confusion.
Gotcha.
Okay. Omar, could you read the title and then conduct the roll call, please?
Ordinance number 20-09, an ordinance amending Chapter 2, Section 2-25 of the Revised General Ordinances of the Borough of Tenafly entitled Department of Public Works. An ordinance number 20-10, an ordinance to fix the salary, wage, and compensation of certain supervisory and administrative employees of the Borough of Tenafly, represented by OPEIU Local 32.
Conduct the roll.
Councilwoman Dayton?
Yes.
Councilmember Grossman?
Yes.
Councilmember Menon?
Yes.
Councilmember Michaels?
Yes.
Councilmember O'Connor?
Yes.
Councilmember Park?
Yes.
Okay. Julie, would you like to read 20-197, please? Make a motion.
Yeah, I move to adopt resolution 20-197.
Could I have a second, please?
Second.
Omar, could you conduct the roll call, please?
Councilmember Dayton?
I just want to say something. So this is the motion for our capital budget. I'm very honored to work with all of you on this. I think we all worked very hard. I'm thrilled to pass it tonight, and I hope that we do a lot of good things with this budget for our community. So yes.
Councilmember Grossman?
Yes, for all the reasons Councilwoman Dayton articulated.
Councilmember Menon? Councilmember Michaels?
Yes.
Councilmember O'Connor?
Yes.
Councilmember Park?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, everyone. That closes our new business. I really made my mayor's remarks at the beginning of this meeting this evening, so as a courtesy not to put people to sleep, I'm not going to have a second set of mayor's remarks, and we'll go into closed session. So he needs to read, the attorney needs to read the closed session. So Anthony, could you read the closed session information, please?
Sure, Mayor. At a regular meeting of the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Tenafly, County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, held on May 19, 2020, be it resolved in compliance with NJSA 10:4. The Mayor and Council of the Borough of Tenafly are going into closed executive session to discuss the following matters. A, public privilege. 1, railroad station lease. 2, Hill Swim Club lease. B, personnel. 1, borough administrator resignation. Minutes will be taken of the meeting and released to the public at the time that the matter is resolved.
I just have one thing to say.
Go ahead, Lizette.
I just need 5 minutes because I have to send a new WebEx invite, because it's solely for council, because people who were in the public
Understood.
can jump back in.
Did everyone hear that?
Yeah.
Okay,
Can we just take like a 5-minute
we're gonna take a
break?
5-minute break. You're gonna take a 5-minute break while you get a new email link, okay? So
Okay,
can I have a,
5 minutes.
wait, I need a motion to go into close, please.
In a second.
Motion to go into close, please.
And a second, please.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we'll see you in 5 minutes.